Chloe Swarbrick, our favourite, well, many of our people's favourite MP. She was on the Bold Politics with Zack Polanski. It's a British podcast. I assume it's a British podcast. He has a very posh British accent, and she was in the UK most recently. Chatting about being a Green MP, about socialism, as one would do. And the thing that kind of stood out in this particular interview, because she was with Gary Economics a couple of weeks ago, I assume filmed at the same time that she was in the UK and filmed this one. But she was more so talking about the economics, the capital gains tax, things that were missing in kind of how our economic system works. We know we're a economy where our economy is trading properties or selling properties to each other with like capitalism on the side or something. I think that's kind of similarly explained. So she was talking more about that on the Gary Stevenson podcast. This one, she talks more about her personal politics journey, being an MP, her experiences, what she's learned. And she does mention about sort of the left all need to kind of get together. And the podcast itself is called Why We Should Want Our Politicians to Be Flawed, talking about action that's imperfect, or imperfect action. Kind of done is better than perfect. Perfection is the enemy of good is the other one. My two favorite sayings. I was talking to someone and they had never heard that before, and I'm like, really? That's like my go-to motto these days, because otherwise nothing ever gets done. So let's have a listen to Chloe. I just realized I'm gonna do the thing. Is the thing. Hell yeah. So let's have a listen to Chloe. And this first wee bit is her talking about her journey into politics, a little bit more about herself, and just a bit of a background. I won't go through all of her background stuff, but kind of the first wee bit in the first major bill or legislation that she was part of. Oh, our background's not the right colour. Magenta. What have you done? You got to have the right background. Cold caller. Yeah, that's bright, hairy news. So yeah, talking about her sort of first league into politics, and then we'll go into some more her philosophy in politics as well. So if I know what I'm doing, I do. And if I do one of these, and if I do one of these, can you guys hear?
Three big strands that I've really seen is campaigning for a wealth tax, justice for Palestinians and all oppressed people around the world, and also drug legalisation.
Yeah, that is a pretty good bunch of baskets that you put out there. Yeah, so in my first term in Parliament, 2017 to 2023, very much was coloured by that work for drug law reform, and that came about. I never intended to go to Parliament to advocate for drug law reform, but Julianne Genter, who is one of our Green MPs, became a minister in that government. And as a minister, you can't progress a member's bill. So she passed her member's bill on legalising medicinal cannabis to me. And then I just ended up getting into the weeds, excuse the turn of phrase. But the more that I uncovered, the more that I learned that, drug policy is one of those areas that is actually some of the most profoundly anti-evidence and anti-compassion policy that we have going for us. And funnily enough, we operate off the back of something called the Misuse of Drugs Act 1975, which is largely a carbon copy of your guys' Misuse of Drugs Act 1972. It's, just anti-evidence compounds harm. No one's going to put their hand up and ask for help if they risk going away in handcuffs. As things progressed, I was also on the Environment Select Committee.
And then, she talks about a wee bit of a... I kind of forget that she was kind of at the forefront of the legalised cannabis era, campaign, time, legislation. But I in a way, like now that I think about it, I wonder if it painted her as a bit of a greenie, meaning more so like being a bit of a one-trick pony, I guess is probably the way I'd put it. But yeah, no, interesting. Thinking to myself. the legalized cannabis drum circle. Yeah, that kind of vibe. Unfortunately, I wonder if that kind of painted her or pushed her into that hole because she was fronting it. Magenta, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what StreamYard. I don't know what StreamYard's up to. OBS can see my camera. Fucking, I don't know what's up.
What browser? Do you need to try
Chrome.
the? I think Pat's like Internet Explorer is the only one that works, which for me that's not true, but you could try that. Otherwise,
I could try that.
You've got a beautiful little icon, and people will put up with some technical difficulties, won't they?
Exactly. I'm sure it'll be fine for now.
That's okay. We're watching some videos anyway, so we tiny in the corner.
Yeah.
So we were just talking. We were just showing a wee clip from the Zack Polanski podcast.
Yes.
And it was just the first week clip with Chloe talking about her experience getting into politics, and she was talking about how she was sort of fronting the legalized cannabis campaign.
Yes.
The next clip I have. So the question is about Chloe. Chloe sort of being a champion for rational thinking and being evidence-based and pushing people to think about the evidence. And she kind of gets a bit of shell shock, I guess, when she gets into politics, and it seems to be everyone pushes evidence aside. Is this clip? Yeah, it's this clip.
Always the best facials.
I know. So good. All right, let's see if this works.
My second term became a local MP, which was all about connecting the dots from the work that we were doing in Parliament back to a really local constituency, and trying to build up a sense of understanding within my communities that we actually can do politics on a day-to-day basis and take back a sense of control and power in our lives, and that those kind of microcosms of hope by practicing our values can grow and grow and grow, and that's how we change the world around us. And then, this term I became our co-leader and have very much set my sights on economic reform. And obviously, as an undercurrent to all of that, with the genocide in Palestine, I think that anybody who would like to call themselves a political leader has a responsibility to stand up for human rights and justice. That kind of just seems like common sense to me.
Quite. And
Apologies, wrong clip. But again, talking about leadership and the philosophy and having a bit of a spine was kind of the undercurrent of what she was getting at there. So we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this. So this clip is about her talking. Sorry, apologies. Sometimes I stack the paragraph before the timestamp, and sometimes put the timestamp after the paragraph. And so I'm like, which of these clips is the correct one? Have I done this correctly? Sometimes I don't. But this one, she talks about how people don't listen to evidence, which I think we all know that Chloe is an evidence-based politician, and legislation and policy should be based on evidence, not ideology. So, but she's got some great thoughts on this, and she talks about sort of more the community and building trust and showing up in the community and showing up for people to build that trust and show that she is there, she's in politics, she's in Parliament for us, fighting for us and what's right in the world.
Hell yeah.
Been a real nerd. And I remember just being a kid and reading about the state of the world and going, why the hell is everything so cooked? And then, I got involved in kind of some student journalism, and I was interviewing all these different politicians and community leaders and experts and researchers, and I couldn't understand the gulf between the people who had dedicated their lives to solving these problems and what they were saying was necessary, and then the umming and ahhing and deflecting and nonsense that the politicians would say about how this is just the way that things are. And this is where I think that there's actually a lot of wisdom in children and in young people. When young people look at homeless people sleeping rough outside of luxury stores, or they read about turtles choking on plastic and they go, why is this happening? And the best that we can kind of proffer them as adults is, that's just the way that the world works. Well, maybe we need to dig a little bit deeper because the world's not working as it should. So I just thought that if we were to outline the information to people and people had time to sit with that, then we'd all come to the rational conclusion that we should do things differently, because very clearly what we're doing right now isn't working. It's producing climate change, it's producing these maddening inequalities, and it's actively eroding our democracy. But funnily enough, that earnest belief that people will change their mind when confronted with the evidence has a lot of parallels with the nonsense of the rational man in Economics 101, doesn't it?
Right.
And after
so just a wee bit of a taster. She does go on a wee bit more, but any thoughts on that particular part, Magenta?
Oh, I mean, to be fair, this whole video, I was just like, oh, man, we need more people that talk like this in positions of power. It just, common sense is not so common. And I'm just glad that she's out here fucking advocating and fighting for us, honestly.
I'm playing with our microphone levels, and I want people to say too loud, too quiet, because I'm always editing it and I'm going, damn, I was too loud. Damn, Magenta was too loud. Damn, Magenta was too quiet. I was too quiet. It's very annoying. So I'm going to keep playing around with them. And I'm watching the little green thing. The green thing's not very accurate though. So,
it's not the best.
Our favorite audio files, please just put it in the chat as you see fit. Right. So she continues a little bit on in the next wee bit. So she's just kind of going more into the philosophy side of things. In the next wee bit, she talks about kind of showing up and being imperfect, and how that's really important, and a bit more about the trust building with communities that she's in front of.
Conclusion that actually you can spend all this time trying to formulate the most perfect argument and collect all of this evidence, but there is no point being right if we're left clinging to our mountains of evidence when the last tree is cut down. And we therefore have a lot more work to do a lot faster in terms of building trust. And trust looks like, in a political sense, and particularly in an electoral politics sense.
Thank you.
It looks like not only turning up when there's votes to be won,
Right.
It looks like genuinely caring about the lives that people live and doing everything that you can to try and improve those lives. So this is where, again, as we were talking about before we came on, I think that proof of concept for people that the Greens are not just going to turn up in election time and, you know, hopefully get more people into parliaments, which then means that we can change public policy, but also demonstrating and practicing our values on the daily, where we show people that through organising on street corners, we can save our local parks, so we can make sure that our kids are being fed, or, you know, safer speeds, or whatever the case may be.
I love listening to her.
I know, right?
I know that people are just like, you're such shills for Chloe, and it's like,
why wouldn't you
shills
be?
for fucking David Seymour and Winston Peters? Fuck off. But she honestly just sounds like a human being having a human being conversation, and it's so nice to see someone be able to pull out numbers and evidence and talk about the things that are important to her without it being this political speak or double speak, or it's speaking to a certain audience, and it's just human to human stuff. And I don't see enough of that in politics, and I think this is a lot about the state of politics worldwide, not just here in New Zealand, but around the world.
Ah, absolutely.
Any thoughts?
I mean, I actually just really like the fact that, you know, she kind of more pointed out it's about like living to your values and, you know, how your morals and that. Like, I think there are a lot of people who could do more to kind of align themselves kind of with where they actually say they're at. And I think that's just something a lot of people don't even really think about. And I think it's just something that's good to reflect on in general as a person.
This definitely this is something that actually came across my brain today. I don't know if it was while I was watching this, but very much about that authenticity thing of like, she reminds me a lot of Jacinda in that respect, where she's talking about the evidence, she's talking about the things that she really values, that things are like the cornerstone of her politics and why she went into it and her philosophy around things. And very much similar to Jacinda, just a very off the cuff, candid. There's no hidden agenda. At least I don't think. Some people in the comments were just like, she only says things for TikTok and to go viral on views. And I'm like, fuck off. Find a politician who doesn't do that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I feel like that's just people who are jaded. And I think sometimes, especially potentially older people, when they see kind of a young person not only kind of pushing against, what's going on and I guess the social norm, and them going, I think it kind of makes people go, fuck, I could do that. Fuck, maybe I should have done that. And then they feel guilty and they go, no, fuck you. I don't want to feel like a bad person. You're the bad person because you're just trying to make yourself look good. It's like, no, sometimes people are just good fucking people and they want better for the world. Like a lot of people who have had some not so great, lives, rather than trying to wish bad upon others, do everything in their power to make sure that doesn't happen to as many people as they can, Like, I think different people process those things different ways. And I think we see it a lot in the Green Party. Like, I don't know if you saw the recent post from Tamitha.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I wasn't going to put it in, but you know what? I will... It's not hard for me to find her page.
You go and find that, and I'll continue this wee bit here because it sort of continues the same line of thinking around, showing up. I've got my things in the right order now. Got it. The timestamp comes after the commentary that I put in my notes. One of these days I'll be a pro. I'm no Pat, guys. Getting there. It's a high bar to get.
Well, we haven't. We're almost at our first birthday, okay? We're still babies.
We are still babies. All right. Chloe, entertain us.
Doctrine from Naomi Klein or whatever else. The right are so good at using crises to further their agenda. And I think on the left, we've been so obsessed with being right or having everything be perfect or fighting amongst ourselves on that basis that we haven't quite articulated in a coherent way what the alternative is, and people need that right now. They need something to believe in and something to work towards and a game plan. We're not experts, Zach. Right. We are politicians. We are people who've put ourselves forward because we really care about things, but we can't hold ourselves out to know absolutely everything. Any politician who does is either lying to you or completely lacking self-awareness, and I'm not sure which of those is worse. What our job is to be clear about our values, to surround ourselves and go into communities that will challenge us, and to work with people, being really clear about our values as our guiding star, to try and come up with these solutions and then just move forward and do the damn thing. It doesn't need to be perfect, but right now, our people are struggling at such scale that we need to show that change is possible, not just talk about it, we have to show it.
Do the damn thing.
Absolutely.
And I think that actually speaks to something quite true about the Greens, is that they definitely seemed, I hate this because it comes out of fucking Silicon Valley, but that whole thing of being quite agile. And I mean, there is a line, right? There is the move fast and break things, national style.
Yep.
Everything goes through urgency and then you fuck everything up because you didn't think it through. And then there's move fast and break things and fix them. As in, like, let's try something in order to... It's probably more move fast and fix things and fix things and fix things and fix things. I think that's the thing, is that we've got to continue to build on those fixes, as opposed to every time a new government comes in, they burn everything to the ground.
Yeah.
And then before they can get anywhere, the next term comes along and it's like, what the fuck have you done? You've either been national and you fucked everything over for your own benefit, or you've been Labour and you've been too slow to do anything. So it's finding the middle ground, I guess, but it's being able to point to the right things and see fixes to it. And that's actually something I thought about that Tamitha actually brought up quite a bit earlier on. I think about a good year ago, or it might have even been earlier in the year, when she was talking about the bill that she was putting together, or the policies she was putting together around the cycle of violence, I think it was. She was on BHM talking about it.
Yeah.
And how she was, the pipeline to violence, or the pipeline to poverty, I think it was. Poverty.
Yeah.
Crime to poverty. Poverty to prison pipeline?
Yeah, poverty to prison. Yeah.
There you go. I got there eventually. And I loved that she was just like, we're doing the mahi now. We're getting there. We're actually, so that when we do get into government, the work's been done and we're ready to go. And I think that's what Labour are also doing right now with their capital gains, is they've taken the last year to figure it out, to actually talk to the right people, figure it out, get a really strong policy, and then when they can hit the ground running, they know their policy inside and out, and they can combat all the people that are like, capital gains on my retirement fund and inheritance tax and all that sort of stuff. Because that's going to be a challenge to fight.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't think that, like, I think people are kind of overestimating how much it's going to affect a certain level of wealth. I think some people just think, oh, if you're considered to be rich. No, it's not quite that simple. It's more like, are you a fucking dragon sitting on a hoard of money that you can't really spend? So, like, there's a difference. But I mean, I also think it's just, pointing out with the way that she pointed out the manufacturing of crises. I mean, we see a lot of that coming out of this government just in general at the moment. I don't know if you saw one of Jordan Rivers' recent videos about old Nikki No Boats and her manufacturing of this, what the fuck was it again? It was, the supermarket stuff. It's stuff to do with supermarkets. But she's just using wording that's very much kind of, I guess, making up imagining like scenarios that don't actually exist so that they can fix them. And that's just something that we see a lot from this government.
Did you find your
yeah, you want to look at the Tamitha?
Yeah, one, chuck it up and then we'll look at the last clip.
Here. Oh, I got too many in. There we go.
Yeah.
So this is
post.
Tam in the hospital.
Oh no!
Wait, have I checked it up? No, I haven't checked it up. Tam in the hospital. I don't think many people are aware, but Tam is disabled. So she says here, from a young age, I lived with lupus, SLE, and rheumatoid arthritis. And as of the last year, I've had a fun heart problem too. My whole life, I've learned to mask the impact of my disabilities, but they affect me on a daily basis. Chronic pain and fatigue. Sometimes I can't move or even get out of bed because I am too crippled. But I am one of the most disabled MPs, but try to keep this to myself because I worry that people will use it against me or try to take my independence/autonomy away by making decisions on my behalf. Disabled people know this paternalism all too well, but we have made it this far with all of our disabilities and must be trusted to know what is best for our bodies. About a year into becoming an MP, I noticed changes in my body. I did a lot of tests and found out that at least a third of my heartbeats were irregular. Today, I finally got an ablation, which is basically zapping my heart back into a regular rhythm. I'm lucky because I can afford to see a private rheumatologist for my autoimmune conditions, and I can afford to pay my visit to my GP regularly, a privilege that many people can no longer afford. I've been waiting a year for this surgery. It's been so long despite being urgent because our healthcare system is under such immense strain. I wholeheartedly support our nurses and doctors. I support their strikes, even if it inconveniences me, because I know they deserve safe working conditions and fair pay. And then she just goes on to talk about, obviously, how shit this government is. And yeah, if people hadn't seen that, like, this is the strongest wahine toa, like, and she's always doing so much mahi, as well as being, like, heavily disabled. And it's just, it's impressive, and she deserves the kind of, I guess, recognition for doing all that she does for us. And also being still so supportive of our nurses needing to strike because shit's fucked. Or shit's cooked, I should say, as the Queen says.
I think that really points to what something I enlightened hat on. I thought, it's always nice when he's like, I hadn't thought of that. I'm like, I got one for you. Another one you can add to your list. What I was saying about why everyone's behind doctors and nurses and needing to fund our health system, and why there are hardly anyone, if anyone, believing the bullshit that Simeon and Brown is putting out there about we're fixing things, everything's better. Because at the end of the day, if you need emergency care, private hospital's not going to do shit for you. They're going to send you to the public hospital. And if the public hospital doesn't have enough funding for your ED, you're going to be waiting a long time and a lot of pain. And some people, unfortunately, because of that, die because they can't get the care that they need. So there are people, and like Amitha just pointed out there as well, is that she can afford to go private, but even in private, she had a very long waiting list, which shows that even if you can pay for private healthcare, still it's just as bad. Like everything is fucked. Everything is cooked.
It's like, oh, she can do some of that more intermediary stuff, that specialty stuff, but there's, I guess, the bottleneck. It's a bottleneck.
Yeah. And because everyone, there's probably a good chunk of middle New Zealand that are our parents, for example, or our parents' generations and our grandparents' generations who perhaps have been able to build up that probably generational wealth as well, but able to build wealth, selling properties to each other and were able to make the most of that time. There'll be a decent number of people that can, in their retirements or in their late working years, can afford private and to go private when they're starting to get sick. So they may not have needed the health system before, but now they're like, shit, I need the health system for my heart, my lungs, my liver, my everything. And they realize that the health system is fucked. And then they having to just go private, and they can afford private, but even in private, they're coming against the same walls because of this just global, but national issue when it comes to healthcare. So I think everyone's going to back the doctors and nurses, and I don't think Simeon is winning this public
oh God, no.
fallacy that he's trying to push. I'm
not surprised he's got the fucking cojones, honestly. Just brave little man.
Brave or dumb, not quite sure, but
both.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Right, so let's look at the very last clip from Chloe. It's about the lessons learned and sort of the approach that she now takes to politics. Just kind of last little clip to warm your hearts.
Or maybe I'd phrase it as things you've learned.
Yeah.
What are the kind of key lessons?
I refer to something which I've said so many times before, which is that politicians are tools, mate. And I mean that in the sense that, but we are in such immense positions of privilege, and we should only be here so long as we can actually be useful. So I think being clear about understanding whose voice you're going to listen to as to, trying to ascertain whether that usefulness is expiring or indeed, getting bigger.
Who do we think she's nodding to there, guys? Is there a dinosaur in Parliament? Surely not. Surely not. There's not someone digging their own grave, is there?
I think that that's really important. I think that also, as we were talking about before, kind of that humility and not being dogmatic and being willing to challenge yourself, because that also can strengthen your views through that process of self-challenge. But yeah, I think our biggest job is to ensure that we are reflecting the people who put us in these positions, and just to do the damn thing, which every day means that we get to inch closer to the world that we deserve to live in. So I think it's about, not fussing around making sure that everything is absolutely perfect in terms of the rhetoric, but it's actually actively getting our hands dirty and building the world that we want to live in.
And then on the wealth...
And the next wee bit that they go into is the wealth tax, capital gains tax, which is a conversation that I think she had quite similar kind of conversation she had with Gary Stevenson, which we've looked at before. Yeah, but I love that Chloe is able to say we're not perfect. We keep changing. Our views change. Like the thing that came to mind was the someone brought up that when Seymour was like, we should get rid of helmets. And I was just like, what the fuck? But if you look back and see that, actually, Chloe was also in favor of having non-compulsory helmets for city things. And I think she's obviously changed, I assume, she's probably changed her tune on that a wee bit when she's looked at the facts and seen, actually, no, there's good reason why we should keep it. And like most of us, we should have a set of values that we stick to, but we shouldn't be so dogmatic that those values don't change. And we I think gender's probably the one that, and I keep slipping up, I'm so sorry. Gender's the one that I've had to kind of live through and change, but not like a I never believed in the spectrum of gender. More so like it's something that I've had to kind of embrace as that became more of a discourse that was regular, especially in our kind of circles and in our age group. The Tumblr generation.
Oh God, yeah.
And that's something that I've been like, okay, so like that's like I've changed my views a little bit and I've learned more things. Maybe there is a place for transgenders in sport, or like all of that. So like it's just changing with the times and changing with the people. And I think that's just something we have to keep in mind, that you can have those set values, but those set values shouldn't be rocked by change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, those set values, they become a bit too core to a person's identity. So kind of when those things are challenged, they kind of feel personally attacked because of the way they kind of see those things. So I can definitely see how it's different, but it's so important to be able to like change, because I mean, I know even just myself, like coming from when I was say 18 to now, holy fuck, those are two different people. And thank God, because if I had stayed on the path that fucking 18-year-old me was on, holy shit, I probably would have voted for ACT or something. I don't know. Wouldn't have been good. Let's just say that. So I'm definitely a proponent of being like, you know what? As long as there's enough evidence, even if it kind of pisses me off, I'll change my mind.
Sometimes begrudgingly to start, and then you're like, man, that was such a shitty, like, stupid thing to be kind of
perfect example.
Die on the hill
of. Smoking. I used to be a cigarette smoker, and I was all like, hey, you can't force me to fucking go on vaping. And now I'm like, you know what? That was for the best. Like, I'm glad that that's not a habit that I really have in my life anymore. I don't even vape anymore. It's great. But, that took me a while to come around. I was one of those real people who was like, you can't take away my rights to smoke cigarettes. And I'm just like, you know what? Sometimes people don't know what's good for them. And you do kind of have to disincentivize things. Like, that's just how it is.
It's got a great little comment here. When we listen to balanced views and have to embrace new information to change our biases, that is how we grow and adapt with change. Absolutely. We should always be growing as human beings. There was something that happened, and I can't think what it was now, but you were saying about how, like, you don't want to be the person you were when you were 18 because we would be screwed up human beings. There was something that happened in the news, and it was talking about I know what it was. Some More News, which is a comedy podcast deep dive. It's kind of like the more awkward indie version of John Oliver, and it's kind of a bit more scripted and things. But they did a deep dive into I can't remember his name. But he's basically a minion in Trump's. He's kind of like Trump's little right hand man who's feeding him information. He's an absolute white supremacist. But they had a look at his background and things. If someone can remember, Stephen Miller. Thank you. They did a little bit of a like. We don't really want to do this, but we kind of have to. Someone did a whole book about his like upbringing and stuff. And the comment that they made was basically like back then he was unabashedly saying awful things. He had this big, like massive grudge against the Latino population. he had to move to like a smaller house than his big mansion into a smaller mansion in suburban LA, somewhere in California, I think. And you know, he had maids, and he was embarrassed when the maids, his Latino maids, would drop him off at school with their shitty cars, and how it made him look poor. Like he was just that kind of person that was like, you're a fucking awful human being. And the comment that they made is just like, this is a man who never grew up. Like, he was like, this is the person I am, and this is a person I'm going to be forever.
Oh yeah,
and he just has
really
never grown up.
Some people take pride in that though. Like I even know, like, I mean, I think about kind of cringe elder millennial bullshit, and I just think of that, like, you know, oh, you know, nowadays music sucks. I still listen to the same playlist from when I was 16 years old because those were the good, like, they just, yeah, people can take some weird senses of pride and not changing, which is kind of cringe.